Guys, thanks for tuning in. I know your time is valuable and you don't want to spend all day on YouTube channels if it isn't in something you're interested in. This is a 30-minute video, two S2000s. The first one gets a whole bunch of maintenance items, including headlights. The second one gets a clutch and retainers. There you go. If you like it, stick around because the movie starts now. So I do want to say the owner of this car is a mechanic for an aircraft company. I won't go into details, but when someone that knows aircraft and works on them trusts you to work on their car, that again is one of those really good feelings. Makes you feel really good that you're doing right by your customer. It makes you want to try harder. It really does. So we have a check engine light here. I want to take a look at that and find out what that is and advise the customer. Alright, so pulling the codes here, we have a misfire 1, misfire 2, misfire 3, misfire 4, 1456, that is an evaporative emissions, and then we have 300, which is multiple misfires, which means every cylinder is misfiring. Now, we're going to be doing spark plugs and a valve adjustment, but I don't want to be negative. I've seen this a lot before, and it's usually the valves on the S2000. Usually the valves are burnt and they won't seal properly. We'll verify that. We'll do a check, compression check, and a leak down. We're going to do the maintenance that is required anyway, see if it will help it. It could also be the injectors. When you get a misfire, basically you've got three ingredients. You've got spark, fuel, and compression. That is essentially what the engine needs. If one of those is out of whack, of course, you're going to get a misfire. The ECU is going to detect it. My experience, don't have a lot of injector problems. This might have the original spark plugs car has over 100,000 miles. So we have our parts in here, oil, spoiler, extra parts in here. Oh, and look at that. Thank you so much, Carlos. He actually mentioned that he was going to put some LHT blue juice in the trunk, as he called it. It's actually kind of a catchy name. So this is the spoiler. It's an aftermarket spoiler. We'll double check. These usually fit pretty good, by the way, but we'll double check it before we put it on, and let's see what's in the bag. So we have the new timing chain tensioner and of course his OE filter. This is the part number. I keep saying this all the time. I can't stress how much. Use the factory Honda oil filter. I don't like it when the plastic's removed. There's probably no reason to be concerned. I just don't like the fact of something might go in there and then ends up in your engine. So I'm going to go ahead and, you know, blow this out. But the factory piece has clear over here and it seals this area off, which I kind of like that. Looks like somebody might have just removed and cut the plastic. So we're probably fine. I'm going to check it anyway. Alright, so something I noticed here, he had complained of having the car run hot. He said one of the fans broke and he replaced it with a used fan and he could smell coolant. Well, this cap is broken. As you see, part of it is in here. So that's probably his problem. This is usually as a spring tensioning against this seal here. This is the lower seal. This is where the pressure is held. And there is a spring in this cap, which it's obviously fallen apart. This is probably his problem. And of course, when the fan stopped working, the car ran hot and then this failed. So it forced all the coolant out of here, filled at the reservoir, then it overflowed. So not a big deal. We're putting a new radiator on. It's going to get a new cap. So this is your clutch reservoir. If you're looking at this, this is the brake, the larger one. The one in the corner is the clutch. And typically when you see it low and really dirty, it's a show of concern. So he has already asked for a new master cylinder. So we'll go ahead and verify on the inside that this one is bad before we go through the effort of changing it. So I've shown this on past videos and done a pretty good detail of this, but this is your clutch pedal all the way on the left. Hopefully that's the one you're using as a clutch. Follow it up right there and you see that is the back side of the master cylinder, and as you see it is leaking. So how many of you watch our videos? Hands up. Anybody? So you can see how black it is in there, how dirty it is. Of course it should be clean like that. That is really bad fluid, and if you can see down there, it almost looks like sludge. This is the inside that you would see from the car, and you see it's just all coming out through there. It's all leaking. it's obviously blown. So we've got a lot of oil over here. Some of the oil leaks we've found, it looks like the valve cover gasket is leaking, the VTEC solenoid gasket is leaking, which is dripping directly on that oil filter and oil cooler right there. And also he's supplying us a timing chain tensioner. Often the O-rings will be leaking in there, but as you see, there is a lot of oil. So hopefully those fix those problems right there. And then this needs to be cleaned off.
Alright, on this car we're doing retainers and keepers. It's an AP1. We did get this in Vegas. We had an older one where this was just round. Well, this one is like, I don't remember what 6 sides is right now. It grips that, and it has many more holes, much more adjustability. I don't know how it's going to work yet. This is the first time I've used it, so we'll put the camera down and I'll give it a shot. Alright, I'm going to put some air in the cylinder and give this thing a shot. And there it is, AP1 retainer. The AP2 retainer, it's hard to tell on camera. It is quite a bit thicker, and I think it's about 2 grams heavier. There's one in. This tool does work a lot better. It's a little more stable than the old one, so I'm really liking it so far.
So we got our new clutch master cylinder installed, and we flushed this quite a bit. We drain this out, and what we do is we try and clean around there. We use a Q-tip and just clean as much of that black dirt off as we can. And then you're gonna flush a bunch of fluid through there. Once you're done flushing, you know, wipe off this rim as much as you can. So these are the headlights. They're an aftermarket headlight, but initial first look, they look very good quality, and they look exactly like the AP2s. Well, if you've ever done this install before, the AP2 headlights, they're somewhat of a direct install, but the bulbs and ballasts are different, and we wanted to verify that before we took it all apart, because we have a couple of sets here so we can double check. But this is obviously where the bulb would go, and this is where the ballast attaches. The ballast is actually the charging unit charges the high power for the bulb. It bolts here. Well, the AP1 and the AP2 are different, so these are the AP2 style headlights, but they fit an AP1. So let me show you a couple of OEM sets just so we can kind of verify and show you what we're talking about here. So here's the two headlights side by side. I got a left and a right. This is an AP1, you guys know that. This is an AP2. These are OEM factory headlights. So if we flip these over, just so I can show you side by side what the difference is. We've run into this before. The ballast is not a direct bolt-on. Let me put these on the foam. I don't want to scratch these lenses. So if I position this, this is what it looks like. This one towards me is the AP1. This is the AP2. You see, first off, the shape is quite a bit different. On the AP1, this opening is a lot larger, and you see these two bolt holes here versus the two bolt holes there. That is where the ballast will bolt. As you see, the AP2 is completely different. It wouldn't fit there. You'd have to build all kinds of brackets and trim it and cut it, and it can be done, but it's a little hokey. Obviously, if you're going to put AP2 lights in your car, I would replace the bulbs and the ballasts all together. But just so you can see this, this AP1 has the square style over here. This one has the square style too. You see that? All right, so this shows you right here. This is the new AP1, AP2 style. You see the square? This is the OEM AP1. So this is the same headlight. We're going to take it apart and put them in, but I want to verify that before we take the whole bumper out and take them apart and find out they don't fit, because that would suck. I'll let you know what this looks like, and I'll try and find the information where you can get these, because this is a good alternative for people wanting to do the AP2 headlights. And again, first impressions, these look absolutely perfect. Let me get side by side the AP2 so you can see. So this is it right here. This is the new one. This is the used one. This is an OEM AP2. This is the aftermarket. That might not be made in China. It's possible they are, but whether they are or not, I mean, they look exactly the same. I mean, they really do, right down to the color of this bezel. If anything, they're a little bit grayer. You see that ring around there, but the lens, I mean, this is like a Rolex knockoff here. It's so good, but the question is, how long is it going to last? And I would like to kind of touch base with the customer. I think this customer is going to stay in touch with us and let us know, and he will be, I'm sure, glad to kind of share his experience with others, which that's what this community is about. So I'll get some information from him. I'll find out where these came from, and maybe we'll touch back with these in a couple of months, maybe 6 months, because he has plans to come back, and we'll let you know how good these are, and if they're holding up, then we'll find out. I'm not going to give you the price because I don't know, but I'm figuring these are much, much cheaper than the OE replacement. All right, so this is the spark plug cover. You remember it was pretty chewed up. Well, now it is mint looking. This will definitely clean it up. We're going to clean the engine bay a little bit, but this should finish it off, make it look like we care, and make the car look a little loved. See, the valve cover is pretty yucky. We've cleaned the front of the engine from those oil leaks. There was a lot of oil leaks, so hopefully we've got those taken care of, but when we wash it, it'll look like brand new. Alright, so that's what it looks like. It actually looks like it fits perfect, which of course is a big deal. We have seen them where it will fit tight along here, then there'll be a massive gap here. It has the rubber seal on the light too, so I mean, at this point it looks good. The fitment looks good, and it looks exactly like an OEM AP2 headlight. So we will follow up on this. We've got the other one ready to go in. I'm going to go ahead and show you how the ballast fits on that, but it looks like it fits as it should. This is a headlight George has just put together. This is what I was talking about, the ballast. This is obviously a really big unit, and it's the way it fits. You don't want this where it has to be zip tied. This, you know, is a pretty expensive piece, but everything looks like it fits.
Everything goes right back on like it did it before.
Yeah. So fingers crossed that these don't have a problem, and we'll report back. He has plans of coming back at a later time. What are you doing, Esther?
There was a spot, so I put a little bit of water, and just now it's gone.
Okay.
Using my shirt.
Nice.
That's true love.
It really is. So we'll report back and kind of give you the update on these. Hopefully they work. We don't know the brand. I will put that in the description, and we'll
Answer the phone.
Don't you just love this?
Yeah.
Who is Scam Lately? That is so nice because they call me so often.
Yeah, put them on speakerphone.
They really like you.
Yeah, let's do this. See who it is. Yep. Hello?
Congratulations! Because you've made your payments on time, you're now eligible to receive a lower interest rate and a lower monthly payment.
That's the call I've been waiting for.
Please press 1 now to find out the terms and conditions of the offer.
No, don't
Again,
really.
this is your
Just
final
hang up.
notice.
Really.
Well, let me see the terms and conditions.
Yeah, we got
You are
lower
one
interest
step
rate.
closer to your financial freedom.
You're
I'm one
one
step
step.
Your
closer.
interest rate below 6%, press 1. To speak with financial app.
Thank you for holding, Javier.
Hi. Hello?
I believe you are responding to get 0% interest rate on your credit card.
Yes. Right now I'm at 9.7, but it is variable. Ah, the guy didn't
He knew.
buy that.
He knew.
Looking for that deal.
He knew. He's like, I'm not getting this guy.
You can't beat 9.7 variable.
I can't get down to 6
He's
from
like,
9.
he
Yeah.
sounds younger than 85, so I'm gonna hang up.
That guy ain't gonna go for it. He's too wise. He's already pranking me. I ain't even got through to him. 9.7 variable rate. That's awesome. Nobody wants fixed anymore. You want it to change.
Yeah, you want.
You want to know that next month it could be 15. The month after it could go to 1.
I like excitement in my credit card.
Oh, I want a little bit of entertainment. When they get the credit card bill, you go, hey, honey, guess what? We're down to 18% this month. It's starting to pull some air, doesn't it? Yeah, look at that. Way more capable cooling system. We use this radiator and fan package for our V8 kits, by the way. Same radiator, same fans for the LS swaps. So now the water is cycled correctly. We've had the fans run a few times. We're gonna let this cool down, put it back together, wash it, drive it, call the customer. Look how much better this looks under here. The valve cover looks better, spark plug cover looks better, refinished it and got rid of all that grime. Remember the front of the motor? Hopefully in that point there I put a flashback of the other video. Everything is looking good. We're double checking the codes right now, just reviewing the data. I'm going to record it and see what is going on, but hopefully we took care of his misfire problems with those spark plugs, because they were pretty bad. In fact, let me go show you. All right, these are the tube seals, by the way. One was tore, and of course it filled up the spark plug galley with oil. But the plugs, I mean the gap, I know it's hard for you to really read that, but that's probably about a 70,000s gap. It's about a 1/4 of an inch. It's pretty bad. So hopefully that fixed his issues by putting the new plugs in there, and of course this is going to fix some of his oil leaking problems. Now I gotta say, the headlights look good. They look exactly like OEM headlights. So fingers crossed these are a good option, because they look the part, they fit, HIDs work. We checked all the lights, one of the bulbs was burned out, we replaced the bulb, but that looks really good. And now it's time to call the customer. He is in Miami. We're gonna call him, whether he's gonna drive down here or possibly fly. But this one is done. We'll fix the oil leaks. Hopefully we'll fix the misfire issues and all the other little things to the AP2 retainers and the LHT radiator and cooling fans. So we can call him and say, come and get it. All right, that is not the end of the video. It's actually the beginning of another video. The next video is about to start in 5 seconds. This car behind me will be on a future videos. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe, click the like, and support our channel. We'll see you on the next video right now. All right, so another S2000 for you. This one came from Orlando. This one has 34,000 miles. Really, really nice car. Talked to the owner. Again, it seems like most of the owners we relate to, and they relate to us, which is one of the reasons they bring their vehicles to us. He expressed how much he loves the car, how much he doesn't trust anybody working on it. So when someone thinks like that and says that and brings it to you, it's like a compliment in itself. So this is getting a clutch, flywheel, master cylinder, and he wants to do the AP2 retainers and keepers because it is an AP1, and it's kind of a peace of mind thing. It's not a big job, but of course if one of those retainers lets go, it is a huge job. All right, so we have the FX300 and of course the Nietzsche bearing. This is something you gotta use. It's the best bearing. Really nice clutch, soft engagement, holds 300 foot-pounds, lasts a long time. Of course the ultra balanced flywheel, this thing is terrific, really gives a good feel. Quick rev response, but of course very smooth, high RPM running. So this transmission is really, really clean. I don't see any signs of leaking in here. I really don't feel too much wear on here. I feel a little bit of a bump there, but car only has 34,000 miles on it, so it's pretty normal. But I just start to feel a little feel right there, and that's what the release bearing rides on. This is part of our transmission clutch service. We're going to be replacing that slide, and of course the boot that goes on this side is probably good shape. Let's go take a look. All right, so the boot here, it isn't split. Of course it's low mileage, but it's also, you know, 16 years old, 17 years old. So what happens is the rubber gets dry rotted, and when you take them apart and put it back on, there's a good chance of tearing that boot. So again, part of the service, our clutch service, is we replace that rubber seal as well as the main seal. Doesn't have any signs of wear, but again, it's right here. Doesn't take long to do. We keep the parts, may as well just do it. This has been discussed many times. These are the bolts that come out of the AP1s. They're the smaller bolts. They have the 6mm Allen. They're soft, they're shallow. They usually damage coming out. If they don't damage, of course you see there I was shocked the bolt. We use an air hammer and give it a quick shock. Then when you put the tool in there, you can break them loose, but they still start to round out a little bit. So we're going to replace these with our hardened bolts while we're in there. Again, it's just peace of mind. And then the next time it has to have a clutch, makes life much, much easier. So I'm using our super light here. Look at this, so I can actually give you a really good clear image of what we're doing. This is one that Steve bought us for Christmas. We actually got 2 of these, but these bottom threads here in the bell housing are notorious for getting kind of stiff. It's because the back side of the motor right here, look at this. This is all exposed, so all the road grime, water, yuck. I mean, we're pretty lucky in Florida we don't have salt, but if you do, that's going to get in those threads, make those bolts pretty stiff to come out. So one thing we like to do is just run a tab through them right here.
If I can get some stuff to come out.
Yeah, well, it's cold. It's cold in Florida. Look, because we're both wearing the exact same shirt, George.
Are we?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Hey, you're supposed to call me in the morning and go, hey, what are you wearing? We've been together long enough. We're supposed to make sure we...
This is my only one that has a zipper on it.
Oh, yeah. Well, you have the string ties too.
Yeah.
So we're going to tap those threads out, just make sure they're nice and clean. We'll put a little bit of space grease on the bolts, and then again, probably won't be getting a clutch for a long time, but it's always best to, you know, make it easier if it comes apart. All right, so the header, look at this. One of the heat shield bolts snapped. We don't see this very often. It's crazy because this is a Florida car, but it's not rusty, but it just stuck in there. That sucked. And George ran some penetrating oil in there. You can see it's all wet around that runner, and kept trying to work on the bolt, and it wasn't going to come off. Well, you got to take that heat shield off to access these bolts. So I'm going to basically drill that and run an easy out in there, see if I can get that bolt out and then replace it. We have a couple of these spare bolts. Again, talking about anal, this is just how we would want someone to work on our cars. And again, I could just not talk about that, never replace it. Chances are most people would never know, but if the heat shield rattles and it adds to that, you know, it makes the car feel a little yucky when it rattles and vibrates. It just starts adding to the this car's getting old and rickety, and it might be just a bolt or a clip or a bracket. So let's go ahead and work on that, see if we can get it out for him. Warm coffees
Yeah, warm coffees
and dog.
and a dog.
Do you want me to take these off? What is that?
That's my...
Is that what you've been going to the doctor for?
Shut up. It's my apple. I had to carry it there.
Try not to notice
My apple.
the odd light. Oh, that's to hold your... It keeps that in place. That's awesome.
Shut up.
Which one is which? Ooh,
That
somebody's
one's
drinking that one.
that one's George's.
That's the one that somebody tested. Are they all
That
the
one's
same?
not yours. No, that one's not yours. No, they're not.
Is this one George's?
I got you your super high fat chocolate mocha.
So this one George?
I'm pretty sure that one's George's. Yeah,
Okay.
because his was next to mine. Yours was in the corner all by itself. Come here, Scott.
George, you got your warm coffee.
Thank you.
That's the wrong one.
Thank you. Oh, it's the wrong one, George.
Oh no, wait. Open it. No, wait. Hold on.
Oh, this is too
It's a
confusing.
grande white mocha.
Oh, it is the wrong one. Sorry. So
Okay,
George,
that
this
one's
is
yours. Replay the tape.
Actually, George, this is yours right here.
All right, so there's a new boot, and like I mentioned, it wasn't in bad shape, but over time the rubber gets kind of hard, it gets dry rotted, and it will split. This one was in one of the best shapes, but we replace them on every kit, so we can't stop now. So we're going to our box marked S2000 drive shaft bolt. Should be bolts because there's many. So this is the bolt we use. It is a grade, get it to focus, it is a grade 12.9. It's a very strong bolt, but the biggest reason we change it is because that has a much deeper socket and we get a better torque rating on that without worried about rounding it out. Of course the old ones do round out, which I showed you. There's the rounded out one, of course. This, there you go, you get a good idea right there. This one won't do that, much harder. So look at this. I do want to give a quick shout out to Jeff Carlton for sending this to us. He's a longtime friend, used to own a shop in Tampa, and I think he had this made, and he said, you know what, you guys can probably use that. So Jeff, thanks. That is really cool. And that is, of course, the S2000 logo. You see that? Alright, this is a little PSA for jacking up your S2000. You see over here, we always like to have plenty of clearance between the body. You can see over here, you don't want this contact in the body. But one thing you'll see, this is a double pad right here. You see that where it kind of lays over? That's where you want to jack it from, and preferably you want to do it on a lift so it jacks up even, because this is a reinforced area. This is something we see a lot, and I figured I'd bring it to your attention. See how it's kind of rolled over, and there's plenty of spots where it's being jacked up. Well, it hasn't caused any structural damage. It's just more cosmetic, and it's for you guys that are jacking from the outside. You don't usually see this. But this is very, very soft. It's not reinforced. It doesn't have any thicker material. You can see how thin that metal is, as opposed to this. This is like a triple layer, as opposed to this is just that lip here is a single layer. See, this is what it should look like. And then this is where it's jacked. But we see this a lot. Here's in the front too, where the double reinforcement is. But from the outside, most of the time you'd never see that. See, it's, you know, you see the car is silver under here. It gets kind of dark, but you don't see this as much. You can see it a little bit there, but it's on the other side too. See that? So just keep in mind, look over here where the double reinforcement part is and jack it from there. Just be very careful. Don't jack it from the middle, because you are going to cause that damage. Alright, so the new retainers and keepers are in. These are the ones that came out. And again, just visually, you can't really see a big difference, but we have seen the edges of these. I'm not going to pull them out because they're oily. I've shown you on the past, but these are very, very thin on the edges. And over time, we've actually had a handful of them crack. So it's kind of like a peace of mind. Makes you feel a whole lot better knowing you got the better retainers in. Of course, everything gets new gaskets and seals. The whole kit we do this, the valve cover gasket, as well as the tube seals and the grommets. These are the old grommets. They don't really show a problem, but over time they can leak, so always replace them with brand new OEM parts. So there's one thing, if you look, if I have the shot of the earlier picture, this power wire was routed terrible. It kind of went this way, made a loop, everything was kind of hanging out. And the power wire across here, kind of daisy chained across the valve cover. It doesn't look good, so George went ahead, tucked it in the boot so it fits back. The protective boot goes back on, routed it nice around here. It's zip tied here. When it all goes back together, we can zip tie it to this wire, and it'll sit kind of back there, out the way, out of the heat, and protected, and it'll just look a whole lot nicer, because look how nice this engine bay looks. And then when you see the wire kind of daisy chain across there, it doesn't look good. So I'm sure when he sees this, he's gonna be excited about that. It's one of those little tiny things that really does make a big difference. Alright, so everything on the list is done. Someone's going to ask about the ISC. Well, this is something we've found over the years. The ISC is electric valve, which is located here. You see the new one is gold. Well, over time they get kind of delayed. These ippy ones tend to have a bit of a stumbly idle anyway. You blip the throttle, it kind of revs up like this, comes down, almost stalls, kind of corrects itself. Well, we found with a newer valve, and of course with a new battery, it makes a big difference. Helps control the idle. Now, we've tried cleaning them over the years, and sometimes it is successful, but this is the way I do it on my personal cars. And when people ask me which way I do it, I said, just go to Honda, buy a valve. That's what he wanted to do. So we'll go ahead and start this up. Just confirm everything is good, but it does help control the idle. Makes it a little bit smoother, less chance of stalling and, you know, blipping around like I just talked about. All right, now we're up to temperature. We'll just blip the throttle, kind of show you what we're talking about here. See, it comes back, stabilizes pretty quick. It's something we've noticed over time. It makes a big difference having that valve. It does operate much faster. You want to kick the air conditioner on real quick just so we can kind of verify it with the AC. See, also the AC kicks on, it compensates faster, the RPM doesn't drop as quick. Gonna blip the throttle. See, that's where it would be under the most use, because the engine wants to idle down faster with the load from the air conditioning, and the idle valve catches it and it helps stabilize it. So that's our reasoning behind that. I know someone's going to ask about it, but hopefully that explains that and helps you understand what we're talking about here. All right, so this is the analytics from our page. As you see, there is more people watching that are not subscribed than are subscribed. So if you would, do us a favor, if you watch our videos, if you like it, hit the subscribe button. I'm going to put a link there. A little LHT should come up. Click on that.
Can we put the Mugen one over here?
Right there.
Okay, the Mugen Civic. Follow that right here.
That's George's series on the Mugen Civic. Click on that. You can follow that series. And let's put the Integra videos
here,
right there, right above George's
yeah.
chest right there. So thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe, click the like, click the bell, all that good stuff, and stay tuned. And there's going to be more videos, more content. Who knows? Might be more content starting today.
Let's hope so.
Absolutely.